All right, everyone. It is 1:30, and welcome to the Food Distribution and Access Roundtable. The roundtable will consist of a short presentation by Andrea and myself, and then we hope to have a discussion, Q&A, and see where we can kind of go and lead with that. I want to let everyone know that on the right side of your screen, you can talk to folks here in the session. You can also look at the overall chat, as well as if you look at the polls section, there are several questions that we have created that will benefit Andrea for her projects that she is doing. And if you can just answer them quickly for us, that'd be great. And then also, once again, the chat feature is where I'll be inputting some information that Andrea will talk about. And then with all of that, we'll let Andrea, we'll let you take it away.
Alrighty. Hi, I'm Andrea again. You may have heard me speak earlier here, but Rosebird Farms in Kingman, Arizona. And we have been working, we have our own small farm, which we are expanding to about an acre this year, mostly covered in hoop houses, but we also aggregate food from around the area, from a bunch of different producers, in Flagstaff and Paulden and some down in the valley. So we have been trying to expand food access in our area, which is very rural, trying to get people, fresh food in places where they don't normally have access to a grocery store. So, Darren, and feel free to jump in wherever you have to, wherever you'd like to input too. Next slide, please. Next. And Darren, I don't know if you, I don't know if you introduced yourself already. It kind of got cut off in the beginning for me.
Yeah, sorry, everyone. It looks like I'm having a little bit of technical issues on my end. I can't hear Andrea talk, but I'm watching the closed captionings. But anyways, my name's Darren Bingham, and I am the founder of Regen Consulting Services here in Flagstaff, and work with several people. I graduated from Northern Arizona University in a master's degree and focused on the quantification of what is local food and what that constitutes for my thesis. And now work with the Rural Foods Pathways Project to the Sustainable Communities, as well as work in the informatics department looking at critical supply chain resiliency and how we measure and adapt to future stresses of climate change.
Excellent. Yeah, if you want to hit the next slide. So we have been progressing. We started farming in, I would say really started to get farming in 2019 in earnest. Still very small scale. We started out like with 10 CSA shares, and we have grown to about 60 or so a week in our very busy times. So we just started out doing a pickup in downtown Kingman. I have a sister business that I own with two other women, which operates as a co-op. It's a storefront called West of 3rd, and we have 3 owners in total. We each have our own section of the shop, and there has been a great place to reach new people and also do pickups for our CSAs. We also sell produce there weekly. But during the pandemic, one of the ways we decided to step up and really help our community was we really wanted to start doing delivery. So we started that, and it went nuts because everyone needed food at that point. But we were operating out of, I think, a 2001 Ram pickup truck, and we didn't really have any great way to keep everything cold, and it was just kind of a little bit of a mess. But we ended up being able to get an LFPP grant at that point, which has allowed us to purchase a van, which has been amazing. Something that we can stand up and move around in and stage a little bit. We also bought livery totes, which are an insulated styrofoam, but they're like super compressed, hold heat really well, or hold heat and cold really well. They have these ice packs that slide in and out, and that's what we pack our boxes into each week. And it's also funded our wash pack station, which has been huge. We were packing out of one of our greenhouses, which, if you know, in Arizona summer, it's gets pretty nasty, and we were having to, take everything down, set everything up each week. So now it's a lot cleaner. It's a lot more manageable for us as well. So next slide, please. So Darren, I don't know if you want to talk about this one a little bit. We've personally used in the past, we've used Harvey. We just switched to local food marketplaces. We're looking to move away from more of just the CSA model to something that's going to be more of a regular online shopping experience. They have their pros and cons. For us, local food marketplace is a little bit more flexible. For us, also working with different producers, and it was also a lot more affordable for us as well. And hopefully they'll be able to accept EBT and SNAP online soon, which is a big part of our business. We really want to make food accessible to everyone. And Kelly spoke about the Double Up Food Bucks program earlier. That's something we offer to people who do our CSA as well. So hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to accept payment online and be able to deliver. Right now, we can only accept payment in our storefront downtown. Darren, I don't know if you want to elaborate on the pros and cons anymore.
Yeah, so when it comes to some of the pros and cons, it's really good to establish kind of the needs of your organization and your business, and then match it along with what is provided for in some of these platforms. And so what I'm going to do right now is actually connect people with a list of resources that Andrea has provided, as well as we are going to discuss kind of really quickly the pack and wash station. So I just want to pull up this video really quickly and just play it. And then it doesn't really have much sound, but this is the facility that Andrea uses. And then I'm quickly pulling up some of the resources for the farming e-commerce platforms.
Yeah, just to elaborate.
So Andrea, if you want to talk a little bit about the pack and wash station potentially, while I'm pulling up these resources. And once again, I'm sorry, folks, I'm not able to hear Andrea talk because of some technical difficulties.
Yeah, so in that video, you kind of saw when we walked in, you have our big wash tub we had set up. We throw our greens in there, fill it with water, and it has us like a spa bubbler to get our stuff super clean. And then it moves on to the next station, which is our big salad spinner. We have a sorting table, which once everything's all dry, we put everything on there and pack it into bags. And then you kind of see that big U-shape table that we put all our different items out. So, I mean, we can vary each week. We can be up to like 30, 40 different items that we bring in or source from our farm. So it'll really depend on how much we have going on that week. That we sometimes take all that space, portion of it, but it allows us to sort of assemble our box and make it a little bit more smooth so that we're not just let's see what else. Another important thing that we also with the AMS, they also helped set us up with a free pro bono architecture service, and they helped us design the wash pack so that it would be optimal for doing dirty produce in and then getting it clean, and then having a way to sort of sidestep and making sure only clean stuff was coming out on the other side. So that was that U shape. Eventually, we'd like to kind of put a door at the end of the tables there so we could take it right out to our cooler, which is on the other side of the container there. So keeping the cooler really close to where you're doing everything else is helpful too. It saves a lot of work. And we also use not pictured, but we use a roller conveyor belt that's super helpful. It's mobile, and we can just set it up if we're moving things from the cooler into the truck. That's been or into the wash pack. That's been super helpful as well. Darren, I don't know if you want to elaborate on anything else or if you want to go to the next slide.
Yeah, what I would recommend for anyone is the 3 links that I shared in the sessions folder to kind of review those. These organizations have done a really good job of evaluating the different programs. And if people want to kind of do a cost benefit or, decision matrix, they're always welcome to reach out to me at Regen, and or some of these larger organizations might be able to give people direct answers, because as everyone's kind of heard Andrea talk about kind of the groups that she's used and some of the ups and downs, or some of the, the goods and the bads. And once again, you don't want to pay for anything you're not going to use. But if it's something that you could potentially use in the future, that's something you'll have to kind of balance when it comes to your needs. But I'll go ahead and go to the next slide. We talked about that. Pack and wash. Was there anything else you wanted to mention, Andrea?
No, I think that covered it. Well, yeah, besides the stainless steel, we did choose stainless steel for our tables and everything just to make sure they comply with FSMA and makes it super easy to clean up for us each week.
I don't know if you had mentioned what FSMA means, but what does FSMA stand for?
Oh, I can't think of the exact acronym at the moment, but it is the Food Safety Modernization Act. It's just bringing there's a lot of, depending on how big your operation is, you will need to comply with some food safety measures, and they will come out and do an audit. But I think if you're pretty small, I'm not sure if it's like 30 or 20,000 under that, you don't have to worry about it. But as you grow and get bigger, and if you plan to, it's good to keep these things in mind when you're designing your operation, so that you don't have to go back and buy new equipment and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important that you consider your future growth when it comes to evaluating what equipment you need to start. Obviously, a lot of operations are bootstrapping and using funding from savings or small amounts, and you got to piecemeal what you can. But I think at the same time, it's good to balance the future needs, just so you don't have to do it again, like you said. But once again, funding is a really big thing there. And that's where some of the grants we had spoken about earlier can sometimes help provide that capital investment so that you can do it right the first time and not have to repeat.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so some of the challenges that we've come across and that we've been addressing as we can and as funding allows. So transportation of products across long distances and remote locations. So like I said, we buy some stuff in from different farms, and we are pretty far from the larger farms that provide organic produce for Arizona. So we've been working with some produce co-op in the valley. So we've been just trying to figure out some ways to improve our movement of things around the state. But for right now, we've been going and meeting up with them and purchasing from a few places in Paulden and Flagstaff as well. It's still, very time consuming. So it's got it making sure you have enough orders to make it worth the while. Cold storage, cold chain, it gets blazing hot. We deliver to Lake Havasu, which I think is the hottest city in the United States. So that can be a challenge. Delivery totes have helped a lot with that, keeping things cool, so we don't have to worry about things, wilting before it even gets there. We also make sure our people know to put coolers out, try to be really communicative about that, the expectations, and yeah, just making sure we have enough room in our coolers to store everything. And then also while we're packing, making sure things stay cold so that they're sitting out for a little bit while we're packing, they're not getting too warm and spoiling. Same thing, extreme weather, that has been a lot better in our new wash pack. It was difficult when we were doing it in the greenhouse. But we also need to start looking into air conditioning as we start getting into the warmer weather. Yeah, coordination of ordering. So inventory can be kind of tricky in our situation, where we're trying to make sure we're not buying too much or too little. So that's been an interesting game to play week to week as we're building things up, and it's not always consistent season to season. So Yeah, it's tricky. It's something we're figuring out, and the software is helping us manage as well. And trying to get one thing we've been doing is trying to get our weekly schedule down so that we can make sure we're coordinating with our farmers to make sure it's coming in as fresh as possible too. Pricing is always tricky too with local food, obviously. Um, it can be more expensive. So working with farmers so that they're getting a good price, because obviously we know what they're up against because we grow as well, and making sure consumers are getting a price that they feel comfortable with purchasing at. And finally, seasonal availability. Luckily, we live in an area that climate changes pretty quickly within a 2-3 hour distance, so we are able to get local food year round. It just depends on what's available, and also educating people on what they should expect, which takes time too, because we've kind of gone away from that seasonal way of eating. So that's been a big part of our marketing and education too. Anything you'd like to add, Darren?
Yeah, I think it's just important that people understand that coordinating and making sure that you're communicating with both the producers that you're working with, but also the consumers, and understanding that we do have this seasonal availability as long as we can distribute and aggregate and move it across. And we are a pretty big state, but our food system networks are pretty small. And so I think it'll be beneficial for folks to kind of see those opportunities. Additionally, looking to keep the services operational during extreme weather. Everywhere in Arizona at one point of the year is probably unable to grow food, whether it's too hot or too cold. And that's where these regional networking and collaboration is really important for us. So when it comes to a couple bonus features, we, like Andrea said, the seasonal availability of food is a difficult one to get consumers to wrap their head around. Because we've moved away from that. We have tomatoes year round, or we have kale during a certain time of year. And once again, consumers, only eat what they know, and they usually only cook what they know. And so it's important for us to drive recipe development for individual ingredients, such as, say, kohlrabi, or some more unique ingredient or vegetable or produce that maybe people are either unsure of how to cook or afraid to cook. And so that's where we've created these recipe developments, as well as looking to try to provide cooking tutorials, because once again, individuals need to know how to cook in order to consume the recipes. And so that's something that is going to be continually addressed as a bonus, hopefully, for local food consumers of Rosebird and other NAZ food producers. Also, we want to make sure that we provide recipe development on a weekly basis. So when your food producer provides you a CSA box, you will have a slew of different seasonal products that maybe you've never thought to put together in a meal. And so we've provided people with these CSA boxes that have a specified recipe for it. Additionally, it's important that as you look to make more money for your business or for your operation, that you look to add on various services. Rylan talked heavily about diversifying your income and allowing your operation to do multiple things. And this is important because the average, amount of money that someone spends on fresh produce is going to be usually less than what they would on maybe eggs, dairy, specialty products, meats. And so I think it's important that when you buy the e-commerce platforms, you look at kind of what are you going to be selling and at what price point is it better for you to do a lump sum, or is it better for you to do a percentage? And that's where it's important to figure out, what are you going to be selling? And then what are those fixed costs on those items that you're selling? Additionally, Andrea's worked heavily with the Arizona food assistant programs that are operational in the state. And so if you want to talk a little bit about some of those programs that you've used and how that's helped you create this distribution and access network that, provides food year round for not only consumers, but Double Up Food Bucks customers.
Yeah, for sure. We work a lot with Pinnacle Prevention and Kelly. We live over there, and Adrian. We've had such a great experience with them. So we do double at food bucks, which is great. It makes our CSAs more affordable, everything at our farm stand more affordable for people using EBT SNAP. We also do senior food farmers market nutrition boxes. So we pack and deliver boxes to the food bank for our seniors. We do that 4 months out of the year, which has been great. Like I said, to make sure we have enough orders if if maybe our farm isn't producing as quite as much in the summer, we can buy some stuff in and make sure we go to make these trips to buy stuff in. We're filling our van pretty full, and that we're not wasting a trip or gas to go get some stuff. So that's been super helpful just in making that scale worth it. Yeah, I'm trying to think about anything else we do. Yeah, no, it's great. It just helps both market our stuff and help people in need. So it's definitely a win-win. And we've been really enjoying the programs here.
One thing I can jump in, we do have a booth from the Activate Food Arizona, and they are providing technical support for food producers and food consumers to utilize SNAP online. And so if you're someone interested in looking into that, definitely check out their booth for the online portion, and then chatting with Kelly from Pinnacle Prevention about the SNAP and EBT double at food bucks are really important conversations there. And then last, Andrea, if you want to talk about the marketing and social media, and then I might add something at the end.
Yeah, marketing, social media, the really fun stuff that everyone loves to do. Yeah, it's really important just to have a relationship with your clients. Sometimes it feels like a lot when, especially when you're out and working on things all day and you feel like you have to come in and make a post and you think about one more thing. But it's creating a face to your food, and it's difficult, and that's part of what we want to do is be that messenger for our partners, as well as telling the story behind the food, why it costs what it costs, why it's special, and why it's important that we build a local food system. We also use a lot of email. I send out a weekly newsletter, just helps people gives them reminders to go in and order. That's great. I love email just because you do have more control over it versus social media, where the algorithm tends to control everything, and it can be very frustrating at times. So if you haven't already, starting a new email list is definitely a way to go and really connect with the people who want to hear from you. Yeah, and then it's just a good way to keep people informed on what's going on. You can let them know if you're going to be a different place. So that has been really great for us. And we also collect some emails through our point of sale at the storefront, so we can reach people that way too, and just keep them in the loop of what's going on.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for food producers and individuals that are hoping to get into the food production and marketing area. It's important that you use a multiple approach. You want to do emails, which are really catered to a certain audience and can give certain information. And then the social media provides that face that Andrea said, and really gives you that continual engagement. And then, when you have a storefront or a farm front, you can then make the face even more tangible in the connection. And so building these food systems and these networks can be a multiple approach. And Andrea is a great example of getting people food where they are, and whether it be at their house or at a drop location or their storefront, she allows people to kind of come as they are, and then she meets their needs, which is really important. So wanted to turn questions over for the next couple minutes, and then we are going to try to move over to the next session, which what people will do is they'll exit this session and then go to the marketing and branding. And so we do have one question for you, Andrea. What was the timeline and capacity?
As far as building up from where we started, it took probably we were awarded our LFPP in 2020, so it's been about a year so it started in October 2020, so it's been about a year and a half now. And we've still got a ways to go to meet our goals, but yeah, we're definitely building it up with our customers. Like I said, we've been at 60 people a week on our busiest weeks, but we usually have some people that are every other week. So sometimes we're serving up to 100 people within a season, which has been great. In addition to the people that come to the farm stand. Yeah, hope that answered your question.